Our top political priority over the next 2 years should be to deny President Obama a second term.
Welcome back, folks. I think Mitch McConnell is a man of his word. Even though the economy is getting better, Republicans have stuck to their plan. They're doing everything they can to stall the recovery and hurt the president. Top Democrats have been saying this for months now.
Republicans aren't just opposing the president anymore. They are opposing the economic recovery itself.
They believe that a weak economy is their best chance of winning the next election.
So you have to ask your question: are they willing to tear down the economy in order to tear down the president?
Republicans are trying, but it's not working. The president has built 24 straight months of private sector job growth, with nearly 4 million jobs created across the country. And since the market hit rock bottom during the worst of the recession, the Dow Jones has gone up more than 6,700 points. That's 105%. Joining me now is Michael Tomasky, special correspondent to Newsweek and the Daily Beast. His article outlines the, quote, GOP plans to sink the economy. And E.J. Dionne, Washington Post columnist and MSNBC contributor, who's also written extensively about the GOP and the economy. Thanks for joining me tonight.
Good to be with you, Reverend.
Nice to be here.
Michael, let me start with you.
Sure.
What's the evidence that Republicans are deliberately trying to tank the economy?
Well, look at what they do in Congress, Al. Look at what they've been doing basically since Obama took office. But especially since they took control of the House of Representatives. Look, there's no question that as they seek, for example, these drastic budget cuts to the domestic budget, there's no question that they believe that ideologically, and so that they're simply for that. I don't doubt that. But they're not stupid. They know and they understand that when you make these drastic cuts to the domestic discretionary budget, which is actually a very small chunk of the federal budget, and you reduce dramatically the amount of money that Washington is sending out to states and municipalities and local governments, they know that those states and local governments are laying people off. And they've laid off 500,000 people, 500,000 public sector workers in the last 2 years have been laid off. That, in turn, as the Republicans well know, affects the unemployment rate.
Now, let me, E.J., let me read you a quote from Michael Tomasky's article. He says, the GOP is starting to run out of time to think up new ways to ruin the economy so that Barack Obama doesn't get reelected. The party has more invested in economic failure than any out party I can remember in my lifetime. What's your response to that, E.J.?
Well, first of all, I'm a big fan of Michael's, and I think that if you really wanted to move this economy quickly, they could have picked some stuff out of the president's jobs plan, which, after all, is a pretty mainstream, middle-of-the-road set of proposals. And you look at how hard the president had to fight just to get the payroll tax holiday extended. I mean, tax cuts are supposed to be what Republicans are for, and they resisted that for a long time. I think the key number in Mike's piece is that public sector job loss number. You know, if President Obama's a socialist, it's a really pretty weird kind of socialism because public sector employment has gone down, private sector employment has gone up. If we hadn't lost all of those private sector jobs, we wouldn't be in so much trouble. The stimulus, the much derided stimulus, prevented a lot of layoffs in the local and state governments. Right. With that receding, they have been under a lot of pressure to lay off a lot of cops and teachers and firefighters and others, and that keeps the recovery from being really robust.
Now, Michael, let me read to you something E.J. wrote last summer and get your response to his writings. He says, quote, Republicans have no interest in moving the nation's debate toward investments in job creation. It's a brute fact that Republicans benefit if the economy stays sluggish. Is he basically saying the same thing you're saying here?
Yeah, I'm going to shock you and say, A, I'm also a big fan of EJ's, and B, I agree with that statement. And look, you know, this has been going on for a long, long time, and you can take it back to 2009 and 2010 and threats to filibuster, small jobs programs, unemployment compensation relief, things like that have happened in the Senate back then. EJ knows this history. And it's happening today, and it's happening maybe next week, and it's something that people should keep an eye on. There's a transportation bill coming up. That actually did manage to pass the Senate on pretty bipartisan terms. Chuck Schumer, who we saw in the clip there at the start of this segment, has said that this bill might be worth 3 million jobs. Now the House is going to come back into session next Monday, and we're going to have a chance to see what the House is going to do about this. It's interesting that Boehner has made some vaguely friendly noises toward this bill, but I just wonder, can he really keep in line his caucus in support of a bill that Chuck Schumer says is going to bring 3 million
that is
jobs?
going to be a true test. When I summarize and look at your points, Michael, it seems that, I'd break it down to 3 points. One, they attack the job market. This is how I feel the GOP's plans to sink the economy coming out of your article. 1, attack the jobs market. 2, slash budgets. And then 3, blame President Obama for higher gas prices.
Yeah, and on the third point, we should mention that quickly because that's part of this too. Gas prices haven't soared because supply is short in the way for the reason that things usually soar. Gas prices soared because there's a lot of speculation on the markets, and there's a lot of speculation on the oil markets because there's a lot of fear about war with Iran.
Right.
So every time and they know this too, they know everything. Every time a Republican politician opens his mouth and says we have to go attack Iran. Again, I'm sure they're saying it because they believe it, but they understand that they have this little side benefit that it keeps the speculation in the oil markets high and it helps keep gas prices high.
EJ, how does the president make it clear to the American people it's the speculators and not him that's responsible for rising gas prices quickly?
I think he runs a lot of footage from Fox News when President Bush was president, when all the Fox News commentators said, hey, rising gas prices cannot be blamed on the president. And I do think that we have to look into the role of speculation in driving prices up higher than they have to be. But I think this focus, I think the other thing is we really should look back on what's happening at the state and local level. There was a great Republican program called revenue sharing. It was pioneered by Richard Nixon. If ever we needed revenue sharing to help our state and local governments, it was in this period. And I just wish you had Republicans who remembered that they used to be for some constructive things in this country.
It's a different party for sure. Michael Tomasky, E.J. Dionne, thanks for your time tonight.